This is just crazy enough to work.
This is Tim Booker. On July 10th, 2020, we traded him our dome chair for his mobility kit. Thanks again, Tim, for the sweet trade. Really helped us get an awesome third trade. We quickly learned that Tim, a cat dad, plant lover, improv expert, and financial coach, is an amazing entrepreneur, and we had to talk to him in person. After months of sending countless messages back and forth, we finally got to meet Tim Booker in a park playing Jenga.
After you, my friend.
Oh, Jenga.
Mr. Tim Booker, Mr. Timprov, Mr. Tim the financial coach, the man of many hats, many names. As somebody who grew up where financial literacy maybe wasn't accessible to everyone, what does it mean to you now to kind of be able to push those values onto other people?
It means a lot. When you say push it on the people, that sounds bad, but
Not
also in a good
aggressively.
way, because that is kind of what I want ultimately in the future, is to be able to see people do a lot better with money. But it means a lot to me because it was hard-learned lessons, still things that I'm still learning. It's hard-learned lessons, but I think that it's important for everybody to go through it, because the more you can learn it, the more you'll be able to improve, I think, every aspect of your life. And money touches so much of who we are as people, and we all have our own stories about money, and I think it's important for us to take time to think about it, and if there are ways to improve it, make those changes, and then if not, live your life happy. But I think there's always ways to improve and live life better for
Love that.
ourselves.
You grew up in Ohio before settling in Boston. What is one thing that you love from Ohio that you haven't quite found in Boston yet?
It's interesting. It's I'd have to say the people and just the pace of life. I left that area when I graduated from college, and I didn't really spend a lot of time as an adult there, obviously. So my experience of it is a lot different. But having been in Boston, I've been kind of always on the go, working one full-time job, usually a part-time job, just to pay off debt, or just for the love and fun of it. So being able to have that space and do cool stuff like this and just meet different people is something that I feel like is lacking a lot in my life here. So I'm not sure if you all are from here, but just the stigma of being from this area is like, oh, people are closed off.
Yeah, we're both from New Jersey, so it's definitely a completely different vibe that we've felt since we've been up here. But
Yeah.
yeah, I could definitely agree to that, feel that. It's definitely a different, I guess just in dense areas that kind of happens anyway. Just like your whole perspective changes.
Yeah, just a lot faster pace of life. I mean, it's not New York. Going there is just like everybody's running almost. But it can have elements of that, and I'm learning that it's up to you to decide what you want that to look like, what your life to look like.
Alrighty,
Sorry to
dear.
get in there.
I know.
Having attempted the catwalking experience yourself and clear preference of your choice, can you give us your best dog versus cat argument?
I think for me, I think cats are better because they're more independent, but they're also very loving animals, and I think they get a bad rap for being like selfish assholes. And not really caring about their owner, but having a cat. And all cat breeds are different, but my cat, she's very loving and can be almost a little bit too intense. But I think that cats are very sweet. They don't need to go outside for a walk, and if they do want to go out, you can most likely train them to just do their own thing and they'll be fine. Whereas dogs, you gotta always take them out, you gotta clean their poop up in a bag, and I personally think that's humiliating as an animal owner. Not to be offensive to you who's walking two dogs right there, but yeah, let me carry around this bag of poop now until I can find a trash can. I wanted to take my cat for a walk, but we live in a yard now that has turkeys, so I'm not doing that.
From working behind the curtain to center stage, can you give your best and worst experience performing stand-up comedy?
So I do improv and stand-up, so I started stand-up toward the end of my time in comedy, and then pandemic hit, so it kind of just killed everything. But starting out with anything, you stink at it. But the hard part is that when you're doing stand-up, you have to stink in front of people. And it can be very brutal. Most people, depending on the show, they go there hoping to laugh, and they usually are on your side until they're not. And they're like, oh, this guy is not doing well. So you have to just keep trying, and they just sit there and listen to you stink until you're done, and then just give little pity claps.
Oh no.
So I've had a couple of those, and I didn't do a lot of it because I hate that feeling myself, so it was enough of a deterrent for me to stop doing stand-up. I'm really into telling puns, so when I find some good puns that I like, it personally makes me feel good, and then when people groan at them, then I feel even better, so that's a personal win for me.
Oh, embrace the suck.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What's the best pun? What's the go-to?
I took a stand-up class, and part of the final was like a stand-up set, like a 3-minute set. So I opened with the joke, and it went. The other night I went to my tool shed to find a shovel and I tripped. It was dark inside, so I couldn't tell if I had fallen over the lawnmower or a rake. It turns out it was the latter.
That's so good.
That's the response I go for.
That's it. That's the one. So as somebody who spent some time learning from the most notorious financial stalwarts, including, of course, David Ramsey, what do you think is the most misunderstood or underrated financial tip you could give to someone?
I think, not having thought about this a ton beforehand, it would be just discipline and making sure that you are budgeting and paying close attention to it each week or each month, however you want to do it. Because if you're not paying attention to your money or any other aspects of your life, you're just kind of going along unconsciously, then you will find yourself wherever your current habits lead you. So if you're thinking about eating, if you just eat whatever you want because it feels good, then a year from now you're going to find yourself overweight, unhappy, and just beat down. Same with money. If you aren't paying attention to what you're spending your money on, you're going to spend it on stuff that doesn't really matter to you, and then you may find yourself overspending and just being broke at the end of it and unhappy. So the more you can discipline yourself to actually pay attention to what you're spending on, the more awareness you'll have and the more you can make better choices. And I think a lot of people think of budgeting or money management as like this task that makes their lives harder or more boring, but it's really very freeing when you can actually pay attention to it and make the choices that you want. That's ultimately what it's about.
We know you've been to Vodaforig before,
And you guys are going deep into my Instagram.
Yes! And for those of you who don't know, Vodaforig is an escape room-esque facility that combines physical and mental components in kind of a shorter escape room form. And it has a much higher rate of failure and is personally one of our favorite places to go.
Okay.
We absolutely love Vodaforig. We've spent so many hours there. What is your all-time Vodaforig review or favorite memory from there?
I only went there the one time with my improv group.
Okay.
So just that entire experience was a lot of fun. I just love puzzles like that in general. I think just the entire Vodaforig experience is a blast because they don't really give you any instructions to each individual room.
Right.
And it could be, aside from like what, easy, medium, or hard or something like that. So you just go in and you're like, boop, and they're like, oh, you failed. You gotta go back out and then do it all over again. And I really appreciate that about it because it's not really about winning, it's about the process of figuring out each individual step and what works.
For some, they've seen him playing at rush hour at Downtown Crossing or Mass Ave, and maybe for others he's a bit of a folklore. I think you have a different story. Could you tell us a little bit what it's like working
Guitar Bear.
Lights and sound for Guitar Bear?
It was really cool. So my friends have this improv group where they just try to do anything just ridiculous and silly. They call themselves Energy Boys. So it's just kind of all over the place. And I don't know who reached out to Guitar Bear. He has like a publicist or something, but they got him to come in, and he was setting up beforehand, and it was pretty cool to like actually see the person beneath it. And let me tell you, it is not the type of person you think it would be beneath the guitar mask.
They've exposed themselves?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Got to see him without his mask and get a taste of the personality, and it's definitely not what I was expecting. But it was cool to see him in there, and I think everybody who walked in not knowing that he was being there got a real kick out of it as well.
I've only seen him once at Mass Ave, and it was a mind-numbing experience. It's like something you wouldn't expect to see in Boston.
Yeah, it's kind of like a sighting. You're like, oh, you're just on a bus or something, and then Guitar Bear is just playing, and it's a little delight. So you guys' ultimate goal was to be able to get to a point where you could pay off your student loans with trading, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we graduated in 19, and the pandemic didn't hit till April, probably, roughly, in this area. And when it did hit, it froze loans.
It was the wind, but still.
We definitely had to constrain ourselves. Like, is there a way for us to do this differently while we have a chance, while it's frozen? Just kind of by coincidence, we saw the project, somebody else doing something similar. We're like, oh, well, what if we did it this way? For many millennials, erasing student loan debt is not, it's drastically increased in time, right? It used to be kind of like, it's another car payment, 5 years maybe, and now it's like a mortgage. What would your advice be to a young individual who's trying to pay off their student loan debt but has an opportunity to also put some money in a 401k?
I would always encourage somebody to pay off the debt first, because if you're debt free, then you can use all that money to put in the 401k or in other goals. think of debt as like shackles. Having said that, you can do with your money what you want, but I think it's important to be intentional with it. So I follow Dave Ramsey's system, and with people we say 15% of your income should go to retirement. So if you're going to do that, just try to stick within those limits. Can you still make space to pay down debt? Because that's also going to be important over your lifetime. If you keep debt, then it's going to have interest that you're going to be paying it off longer and longer. So the sooner you get done with it, the less you have to pay overall. Depends on how much you're making. So it's hard to say like a blanket number, but generally it would be take care of the debt first, especially while you're young. If you can work those extra jobs, it's going to suck for a year, 2, 3 years, depending on how much you have. But also, don't let that number deter you from getting started, because it's going to be there regardless. You may as well take the steps now to understand how much you have, come to terms with it, make a plan for yourself, and slowly but surely pay it off. And it's not easy. I mean, I still have student loan debt myself. The pandemic really messed up my plans. But I know how to pay it off, and I know that as soon as things get back to the way that I want them fully, I will be knocking it out. I'm not afraid of working 60 hours just to be able to do it. I just think people don't want to do it, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not a fun life, but the ultimate goal is debt freedom and being able to fully do what you want.
What is the shortest job that you've ever had, and what's the reason why it was so short?
I worked at Honey Baked Ham. I don't know if they're up this way, but in Ohio, maybe just in the Midwest in general, it's a baked ham company. And it's very big during Thanksgiving through the Christmas season. So I studied abroad in China, and I came back from China in like August, 2011. I was going to go to grad school in January 2012. So I had nothing to do during that period of time. So I was like, I need to do something with myself. So let me go apply to some jobs. And I saw Honey Baked Ham was hiring for the Thanksgiving Christmas season, so I worked there. And literally just behind the scenes, there were people who unwrapped the turkey or hams and then put them on a little thing, and then people with like a little blowtorch would like heat them up and then throw like this glaze stuff on top of it and heat the glaze, and then once it was all nice and crispy, you would like put it on something else and you wrap it up and then move it out. Pretty much the job. But it was also kind of gross because there'd be people behind the scenes also just like chomping on ham.
No. So how long was that? Just a couple months?
It was just a couple months, yeah. Very interesting setting. It's funny because my family would get Honey Baked Hams for many holidays over my life, and see people just like snacking on ham while they're working, and just like, I'm good. Well, to even back up to how I got here, in the spring of 2020 at this point, I knew that I wanted to do something. I work in audiovisual services, which is what we were talking about before. I work in hotels, helping to set up for events and stuff. And the money, helping people with that was always going to come. But in the short term, I wanted to do something else. So I tried massages, honestly. Like, my girlfriend was really into massages. So I was like, hey, I think I can learn this. So I found some courses online for how to give back massages. But she was always busy, so I was like, hey, do you mind if I go practice on other people? She was like, whatever. I started reaching out to friends on Facebook, like, hey, I'm learning how to give back massages. Can I give you back massages? So people were like, of course. So started giving people free back massages, and it was a weird but cool way to get out the house and like see friends and learn a new skill. And then one time, one of my buddies paid me for it. He's like, here's $20. I'm like, okay,
that's
sweet.
Awesome.
So I was going to keep learning how to do that, but then the pandemic happened, so of course no one's going to invite me over to their house to get back massages. So that didn't pan out. So I was thinking, well, what could I do in order to make some extra money, keep myself busy during this? And that's when I thought of, legitimately trying financial coaching. And I was doing a bit of it before the pandemic as well. Aside from massaging, I was going to like asking other friends if they wanted to learn about money too. So in the capacity that I could back then, I would help them set up a budget and we talk about it. But then realized that makes a lot more sense for me over time. There's more money there to be made, more of an opportunity to help people, and I kind of went in on that. So I think it is something that people want to talk about or need to talk about, but they just don't think they have anybody who would listen or maybe could actually help them, because they feel like, sometimes people feel like they're too far gone, or it can be something that induces shame within them to talk about money and share their challenges with other people.
Yeah, I really liked, I think on one of your posts, you talked about like, we're so close-minded about money. Like we never want to talk about it with people. And just like, there's so much stigma around like, what do you spend? What do you make? Like all that stuff. And like, we've had such good conversations with people when they are a little bit more open about, you know, how they spend and like how they budget. And you don't have to get into specifics, but at least just like being open-minded, I like that perspective a lot.
Yeah.
As a self-profound plant enthusiast and occasional thug kitchen chef,
Ayo.
what is your relationship with a plant-based diet?
It's funny because I think about it all the time. I'm not a vegan. I flirt with veganism every now and again. I enjoy using the cookbook Thug Kitchen because it has a lot of great delicious recipes, but it just also happens to be vegan. So if there's like a certain sauce or even an item I like in there, you can very easily pair it with a meat dish and still get the healthy benefits of a nice nutritious vegan food and also a nice nutritious piece of meat, which I still enjoy. But I've been thinking a lot more about veganism because I find that when I'm feeling my best and doing my best in life, I kind of naturally gravitate towards eating more vegetables and plants and beans and things. So I want to do more of that. But the problem is, it's often not tasty. Like I like my food to be yummy. So I've been thinking a lot more about sauces. So I make a lot of sauces and find different vegan sauce recipes, and then that makes it a lot more enjoyable.
Wow, that's such a good idea.
Sauce king over here. There's no downside to it. It's not like you're gonna be hurt by just eating some chickpeas.
Yeah.
So if you try it for a week or something and you're like, this doesn't work for us, then you know what I mean? It's fine.
I was going through our old messages and I was like, man, we have messaged you so many times, like, oh, last September we want to do something, and then just like, we traded for what we thought was like an all-star item. We're like, we're gonna have so much time, we're gonna have so much good trades now, and then we're like, this is a terrible idea. We got to spend all our effort on that. And then we messaged you again in November. We're like, we finally got rid of it. Let's do something. And then I looked back and it was like June. I was like, we have still not done something with Tim. Like, I just remember telling you, like, you know, we're just trying to trade for the project. And like your whole perspective of like making the swap with us completely flipped. And I was like, we got to do something with this guy. Like, we got to do a podcast. We got to do something. So,
yeah, I was just thinking about that, you know, because I was just trying to sell this item, like, you know, let me just get some quick money on it. But when you said that, I think I wrote like, wait, what? Tell me more. And then you explained it, I was like, this is just crazy enough to work. So I could have made what? I forget how much I was trying to sell it for, like 25, I don't know. I could have made 25 bucks, or I could have supported you in something that you thought was important to you, like a dream that you were pursuing. And for the cost of 25 bucks, I was very willing to part with that. And I got a sweet chair that I still use today. So
Oh, that's awesome!
I'm gonna ask you, how's the chair?
it's doing good. It's sitting out on our sun porch. So we were on the 3rd floor, and like the back of our apartment has a nice little meshed in porch. So get some nice sun in the morning. And actually, my cat enjoys it a lot more than me. I try to go out there and eat breakfast in the mornings, and she's just like lounging in a chair in the sun. So I'm like, all right, Mia, you enjoy that chair. I'm gonna go sit over here, I guess.
Aww. Well, we so appreciate that. It's been so astonishing, people's reactions when we talk about the project to them. If they don't want to trade, they're like, wow, that's such a cool project. Like, what can we do to support you? Like, I'll follow you on social media, and just like, best of luck to you. And that's just been so heartwarming. We didn't know what people's reactions were gonna be, and everybody's just been so genuinely nice and supportive, and it's just so awesome to see.
I think on Facebook Marketplace, most people are looking to sell something, so it's kind of like convincing them that they don't necessarily want to sell it, they want to get something else out of it that they actually like. So finding the people who are okay with not selling it, but also getting what you have because they also need it or can see a use for it in their lives is probably what's taken so long, you know?
All right, from attending the financial PC University to teaching some of the courses yourself, what has that process been like, and how rewarding did it feel to contribute to that program?
Learning myself has been a real journey. Still, it's been kind of like that. You know, you think you're doing well, and sometimes you stumble, but you got to rebuild it. And you go on. Jenga! So I never got a chance to actually teach financial peace. I was trying to do one, but no one signed up for the course. But I still get to use the tools and the information to share with people. and it's been very rewarding. Sometimes it can be difficult because not everybody takes to the information, or it's not the right time for them, even though they want it to be. But when you see people actually get what you're trying to say and they have a strong purpose behind what they're doing, then that's when things really click, because they're like, I want to do this because I want to just pay off debt and be able to travel or set up a good legacy for my children. And then that's when they really like are motivated to do what it takes to save that $1,000 and then start to pay down that debt. That's when it's easy for me, because I'm just like, all right, nice, you nailed that. Now let's talk about what it can be like to pay down that debt. And they start to put systems in place and habits, and they're asking me for accountability, and they're involved and engaged. And that's good. When I started, it took me a long time to actually get going, and that's why I still have debt, because I was in the beginning like, I know I'm supposed to do this, but I kind of want to just like eat whole foods. And, you know.
Totally.
Yeah, but it's been a very worthwhile journey for myself, and now as I'm coaching other people and getting better at the business of coaching and helping people, it's been very valuable to get to meet other people as well and learn about their stories and really dig in and learn about their dreams too, because I think that's really what it's about. I think when people know what the dream is and be able to share that with somebody who cares and knows they want the best for them, then that's when good stuff happens.
Thank you so much for taking this time out of your day and doing this crazy
You're welcome.
video with us and teaching us a lot about yourself and your financial coaching.
Yes, my pleasure. Yeah.
Oh, we do have one thing for you. This is kind of a silly little thing we have, but we just wanted a custom piece for you to take with you so you remember us.
Oh, thank you.
We bought a little mini Jenga set, and we're going to customize a little piece for each person that we have an interview with. So here's your little Tim Booker piece.